Even the bravest people cannot remember alone forever. There comes a point when grief, carried in silence, grows too heavy, when memory, held inward, begins to bend the soul rather than strengthen it. At some moment, remembrance must be spoken, not to ease what was lost, but so that those who remain do not forget who they are. Welcome to the Greyhaven's Hour, a place for listening rather than haste, for reflection rather than argument, where we return to Tolkien's world, not to master it, but to sit with it for a while, and hear what it still has to say. Today, we continue our longer listening, a journey through the voices that carry Middle-earth when power fails. After the elves, who sang their memory as farewell, and the dwarves, who guard their grief in silence as stone, we come now to a people who remember together. Where now the horse and the rider? Where is the horn that was blowing? These are not questions asked in search of answers. They are questions spoken so that loss is not forgotten. This is the voice of Rohan. Rohan is not a people of books and towers. Their story is not preserved in libraries or carved in marble halls. It is carried on the tongue. Songs pass from rider to rider, from hall to campfire, from one generation to the next. Names are spoken aloud, so they are not lost. Deeds are remembered, not to glorify the living, but to honour the dead. Rohan understands something essential. Memory weakens when it is carried alone, so they speak it. They sing, not because the past was perfect, but because it mattered. Rohirrim's songs are not songs of victory, they are laments shaped into courage. They name what has been lost, so that the living may still ride. They speak grief alone, so it does not rot in silence. In Rohan, to remember is not to look backwards in despair, but to steady the present. That is why their songs rise before battle, not after it. Song here is not ornament, it is preparation, and no figure shows this more clearly than Théoden. When we first see him, Théoden is not merely weakened, he is diminished in voice. He sits inward, shrunken, waiting. His posture is the posture of despair. He has not only forgotten how to rule, he has forgotten how to speak as a king. Despair, in Tolkien's world, is not loud, it is quiet, it silences. Gandalf does not restore Théoden with command or strategy. He does not begin with swords or plans, he begins with words. He reminds Théoden who he is. He restores memory before action. The king must speak again before he can rise. This is crucial. Théoden does not stand because he is suddenly strong. He stands because he remembers. He remembers his people. He remembers his line. He remembers the song that named courage long before he bore the crown. And as his voice returns, so does his stature. Song, in Rohan, is not entertainment, it is rehearsal. It rehearses identity. It speaks courage into being before courage is demanded. Once Théoden's voice is restored, the sword can matter again. Before that, it cannot. Words break despair before swords break enemies. This is Tolkien's quiet pattern. Violence without remembered identity is meaningless. Action without voice is hollow. And Théoden's renewal does not end with him. When the king speaks rightly again, the people remember themselves. Riders answer not because they are commanded, but because they are recognized. Memory, spoken aloud, becomes courage shared. This is the strength of Rohan, but Tolkien does not romanticize it. Song cannot prevent death. Courage does not erase loss. Rohan's voice does not save every rider. It carries them. The fallen are named. They are not forgotten. And as riders pass, their voices fade into the wind. But the song remains, as long as someone is willing to speak it again. This is the limit of song and its mercy. It does not conquer death. It refuses to let death have the last word. And yet, Tolkien shows us that even this way of remembering has its cost. For when memory must always be spoken, it can harden into expectation. When song becomes responsibility, words begin to carry weight beyond the moment. And that is where we turn next. Because not all voices remember freely. Some inherit remembrance as duty. Some speak not because they must steady themselves, but because they are bound to speak. If this reflection stayed with you, there are other voices still waiting to be heard. Some grief is guarded, others must be remembered aloud, and beyond song lies duty. In the next episode, we will listen to Gondor and the voice of inherited words. If these quiet journeys have given you something to carry, please subscribe, like and share. It helps them reach others who are still listening. Until next time, may your memory be faithful, may your courage be shared, and may your words rise when silence is no longer enough.